I think something is wrong with our brains. People can't sit in silence anymore. We eat while watching videos. We check our phones in the bathroom. At night, even when we're exhausted, we still keep scrolling. Sometimes we pull out our phones without even thinking about it. In the elevator. Waiting in line. Walking down the street. And the weirdest part is, this all feels normal now. Most people think, I'm just relaxing. That's what I used to think too. Until I started noticing something strange happening to me. I couldn't focus anymore. I used to sit through movies without checking my phone. I could read for hours. I could spend time alone with my thoughts. But slowly, that started changing. Videos had to be shorter. Everything had to be faster. More stimulating. More intense. Even conversations started feeling difficult. If something didn't grab my attention immediately, my brain wanted to escape. Sometimes I'd reach for my phone without even realizing it. And eventually, silence itself started feeling uncomfortable. At first I thought I was just tired. Or burned out. But later I realized something much darker. It wasn't just my mood that changed. My brain had changed. Because we live in a world where stimulation is available every second of the day. Bored? Open TikTok. Stressed? Scroll social media. Feeling empty? Watch videos. Order food. Play games. Refresh your feed again. Every platform is competing for the same thing. Your attention. And they've become incredibly good at taking it. The human brain loves quick rewards. Anything fast. Easy. Instant. You don't need patience anymore. You don't need effort. You barely even need to think. One swipe. And your brain gets another hit of stimulation. Another sound. Another emotion. Another distraction. The problem is, once your brain gets used to instant gratification, normal life starts feeling painfully slow. The gym feels slow. Learning feels slow. Relationships feel slow. Progress feels slow. Real life doesn't reward you immediately. Most meaningful things take time. But a brain trained on constant stimulation starts rejecting anything that requires patience. And that's when people begin to change. You know you should sleep. But you keep scrolling. You know you should work. But your brain keeps searching for easier dopamine. You know you need to change something in your life. But you can't seem to move. A lot of people call this laziness. I don't think it is. I think many of us have simply lost the ability to tolerate boredom. And once that happens, your entire relationship with life starts changing. I started noticing it everywhere. I didn't enjoy simple things anymore. Going outside felt exhausting. Reading felt impossible. Even talking to people sometimes felt like too much effort. Meanwhile, my phone always felt easier. Because real life takes energy. But scrolling doesn't. Your brain just sits there collecting stimulation with almost no effort at all. And the scary thing is, it actually feels good in the moment. Not real happiness. More like temporary relief. A distraction. Something that helps you stop thinking for a while. That's why people keep scrolling even when they're not enjoying it anymore. They're not chasing happiness. They're trying to avoid the emptiness that shows up when everything gets quiet. I went through a phase where my mornings started the exact same way every day. Wake up. Grab my phone. Tell myself. Just 5 minutes. Then suddenly an hour disappeared. And over time, that became normal too. That's the dangerous part about habits like this. They don't destroy your life overnight. They slowly become part of your identity. You stop noticing how much time you're losing. How distracted you've become. How difficult it is to stay present. I noticed I couldn't focus on anything for very long anymore. Movies felt too slow. Books felt exhausting. Even sitting still started making me restless. And the strangest part was, I felt mentally drained all the time. Even when I barely did anything. Because my brain was never actually resting. A lot of people think scrolling is rest. But it isn't. Real rest is when your mind slows down. Most people don't let their minds slow down anymore. We constantly consume information. Noise. Videos. Notifications. Music. Content. Some people can't even eat without background stimulation anymore. Because silence forces you to face yourself. And that's what many people are really trying to escape. Not boredom. Themselves. When everything becomes quiet, certain emotions start showing up. Stress, loneliness, anxiety, confusion, regret. Phones don't just entertain us. They help us avoid those feelings. That's why so many adults become trapped in endless distraction. Especially people living repetitive lives. Wake up. Go to work. Come home exhausted. Repeat. Same routine. Same paycheck. Same problems. After a while, something inside people starts going numb. Not because they're weak, but because they stop believing their lives are moving anywhere meaningful. And when people lose excitement for the future, they start searching for escape. That's why so many people spend hours online after work. Not because they're truly happy, but because stimulation helps them temporarily forget reality. The problem is, the more you escape reality, the harder reality becomes to face. So the anxiety grows. The emptiness grows. And eventually, your brain becomes dependent on constant stimulation just to feel okay. For a long time, I thought I simply lacked discipline. But eventually I realized something important. People who are genuinely excited about their lives usually don't fall into distraction as deeply. Someone obsessed with building a business. Someone training for something meaningful. Someone deeply passionate about creating. They still use social media. They still waste time sometimes. But they don't completely disappear into it. Because their minds are connected to something bigger. A goal. A purpose. A direction. A lot of people aren't addicted to pleasure. They're addicted to escaping lives that no longer feel meaningful. And I think that's the real danger of overstimulation. It slowly makes ordinary life lose its color. Your brain stops appreciating slow experiences. You lose patience. You lose focus. You lose the ability to enjoy simple moments. But almost everything meaningful in life is slow. Growth is slow. Healing is slow. Relationships are slow. Mastery is slow. Real life moves at a human pace. The internet doesn't. And when your brain becomes fully dependent on instant rewards, real life starts feeling emotionally flat. That's why so many people feel empty after hours of scrolling. The stimulation is intense, but it never truly satisfies you. It's like mental junk food. Quick pleasure. No nourishment. For a while, I tried solving this the extreme way. Deleting apps. Forcing strict routines. Trying to completely avoid my phone. None of it lasted. Because eventually I realized the phone wasn't the real problem. The real problem was that my life felt empty outside of it. And if someone feels empty long enough, their brain will always search for the fastest possible escape. So instead of trying to fight myself all the time, I started rebuilding my life slowly. I started going on walks. Exercising more. Reading again. Spending less time consuming random information. Learning things without expecting immediate results. At first, it felt terrible. Because healthy things are slow. The rewards are quiet. Subtle. Delayed. Nothing like the instant dopamine of social media. Sometimes I'd read 2 pages and immediately want my phone again. Sometimes I'd exercise for 10 minutes and feel restless. That's when I realized how deeply my brain had been conditioned. But slowly, something started changing. I began feeling moments of real satisfaction again. Not stimulation. Something deeper. The feeling after finishing a difficult workout. The calmness of completing something meaningful. The quiet confidence that comes from improving little by little. Those feelings weren't intense. But they were real. And unlike endless scrolling, they didn't leave me feeling empty afterward. That's when I understood something important. Most valuable things in life feel boring at the beginning. Because meaningful growth usually happens slowly. But modern life trains us to expect immediate rewards for everything. Immediate entertainment. Immediate feedback. Immediate results. And because of that, people struggle to stay committed to anything long enough to change their lives. Over time, I realized the most stable people aren't always the most disciplined. Usually, they just have something meaningful they care about. A reason to stay focused. Because when your life has direction, your attention becomes harder to steal. And honestly, I don't think most people lose to distraction. I think they lose to aimlessness. That's why I stopped constantly telling myself, don't use your phone. The harder I resisted it, the more my brain obsessed over it. Instead, I started changing my environment. When I felt the urge to endlessly scroll, I'd go outside, take a shower, listen to music, move my body, leave the room. Because most impulses only last a few minutes if you don't feed them. And eventually, your mind starts becoming quieter again. I think one of the most important skills today is the ability to reclaim your attention. Because attention is no longer just attention. It's your life. Whatever controls your attention eventually controls your direction, your habits, your emotions, and your future. If your mind is constantly pulled towards stimulation, you slowly lose connection with real life. But if you can relearn how to focus, how to be patient, how to sit with discomfort, how to invest in things that grow slowly, you start feeling something that modern life almost made you forget. Real happiness. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't disappear the second you put your phone down. And maybe that's what so many people are really searching for. If this video connected with you in some way, consider subscribing. And let me know in the comments, when did you first realize your attention was changing?